I started refereeing, right, the matches
Really?
at a website called NX Gamers.
Okay.
At the time, NX Gamers and game battles were going head to head, especially in Call of Duty, because NX Gamers was created specifically for Call of Duty, but it had its ancillary stuff. And I started doing research, and I came across that website, and it says sign up to be a referee. And I'm like, yeah, I have a job. I don't need to get paid for this. I'm gladly. I want to be better at this thing. And like these kids are beating me. How do I do this? So I started refereeing people that were way better than me, and I learned a bunch. Right? I learned a lot.
What is refereeing? Like, what is that actually?
You're just sitting there and checking the scores to make sure that it's during tournaments. So you put in and then you input it into the system, and then it advanced. The teams that win advance. The records, same bracket stuff that you see now. But I learned a lot, and I was always available. So this guy from OpTic named OpTic J, he kept on hitting me up, and he's like, hey, you want to ref this thing? And I was always available, and we developed a friendship in which I started to get into their lobbies, and I may have not been the best at the time, but little by little I started to get better, because you're as good as your competition.
Yeah. And
if I'm playing with pros, like there was a level of elevation that happened in skill. So as we went through that, I just I'm like, I started to talk with them about like what they were doing, and I'm like, what about sponsors? And I knew what sponsorship was because a friend of mine was sponsored by a spray paint company called Montana, and I'm like, oh, this is the same thing. You're offering eyeballs for this thing.